Picture this. It's prime time. You're streaming a movie, maybe checking out of an online store or transferring some funds. And then, bam, the screen freezes. The dreaded loading wheel just spins and spins. Behind the scenes, absolute panic. A massive system outage just hit. The servers are completely unresponsive, and millions of active sessions are just hanging in limbo.
So what actually happens when an entire cloud region goes dark? And I mean entirely dark, whether it's from a massive power grid failure, a sudden natural disaster, or even a coordinated cyber attack. Well, it's not just a minor glitch. We're talking millions of users losing access, all at the exact same time. Global network maps just bleed red, streams die, payment gateways crash, and IT dashboards are literally flashing endless critical alerts. Essentially, everything the company has built just vanishes from the internet.
But hold on a second. When was the last time Google search actually went down for you? Or WhatsApp? Like, almost never, right? So how exactly do companies like Netflix, Google, Amazon, and WhatsApp stay online globally, 24/7, even when massive regional outages happen? Spoiler alert, it's not magic. It's brilliant, practically bulletproof system design. Today, we're unpacking the architectural secrets of the tech giants to see exactly how they build internet-scale infrastructure that basically never fails.
Okay, so the fundamental problem we have to tackle first is latency. Imagine you're relying on a single region deployment. Let's say a user in India tries to access a server physically located all the way in the United States. That request literally has to travel thousands of kilometers across underwater fiber optic cables and a maze of internet networks. The result? Super high latency, agonizingly slow loading times, and just constant buffering. The fix here is going multi-region. By placing servers locally, in India or somewhere nearby, that request travels a tiny fraction of the distance. Suddenly, pages load in a snap, APIs respond instantly, and the user gets a flawlessly smooth experience.
And that brings us to the core concept here, multi-region deployment. Basically, this means running your applications and your entire infrastructure across multiple geographical continents simultaneously. We're talking about lighting up US East, Europe West, and Asia South all at the exact same time. Each of these regions gets its own fully isolated application servers, databases, and memory caches. So if a massive power outage takes down US East, the overarching application doesn't really care. The other continents just absorb the load and keep the whole platform running without missing a beat.
Let's actually track a user's request in real time to see how this plays out. When you try to access the site, you don't connect directly to a backend server. Instead, your request gets intercepted right at the edge by a global load balancer. Think of this as the ultimate traffic cop of the internet. It instantly evaluates your geographic proximity, checking where you are physically located, and simultaneously verifies server health. Then, literally within milliseconds, it intelligently reroutes your traffic to the absolute nearest, healthiest region available. Now, that global load balancer isn't just randomly guessing where to send you. It relies on some highly specific traffic routing strategies. You've got geo-routing, which automatically detects an IP address to send, say, Indian users straight to a Mumbai region, and European users over to Frankfurt. Then there's latency-based routing. This dynamically sniffs out the absolute fastest connection at that exact millisecond, adapting to network congestion on the fly. Failover routing acts as your emergency brake, instantly shifting traffic away from a dying region. And finally, weighted routing precisely distributes traffic loads proportionately across different data centers, just to make sure no single node gets overwhelmed.
But perfectly routing traffic, that's really only half the battle. What about the underlying data? This is where DevOps engineers face a massive dilemma when synchronizing databases across continents. You could use synchronous replication. This tightly guarantees a data write is securely locked in across multiple remote regions before the user even gets a confirmation. You get perfect data consistency, sure, but at the brutal cost of higher latency. Or you could go with asynchronous replication. Here, the write happens locally first, and then it syncs to the other regions in the background. It's lightning fast for the user, but it heavily risks temporary data inconsistencies between different continents.
And honestly, this choice around data replication fundamentally dictates your entire system architecture. In an active-active setup, multiple regions actively serve global traffic at the exact same time. Every region is alive, every region is processing data. It's incredibly complex to maintain, but highly scalable. This is exactly how Google Search effortlessly handles its massive global load. The alternative is an active-passive setup. Here, one primary region does all the heavy lifting, while the backup region simply sits on standby waiting for a disaster. It's a lot simpler to build, but you're essentially paying for expensive idle servers until a literal emergency strikes.
It all fundamentally comes down to the CAP theorem. Why do companies deliberately choose one architecture over the other? Well, it depends entirely on what the business prioritizes. Take a critical financial system. A bank prioritizing your checking account balance absolutely demands perfect consistency across the globe. They are explicitly forced to use synchronous replication. But a social media platform or a streaming service, they heavily prioritize low latency and high availability. I mean, if your feed is a few milliseconds out of sync in Europe compared to the US, no one really cares, right? So they happily roll with asynchronous replication.
Now, scaling all of this globally introduces a sneaky, kind of hidden challenge: session management. Imagine you log into a system securely in the US, but 5 minutes later, a localized failover routes your active traffic over to Europe. Are you suddenly completely logged out? Well, not if the system uses stateless authentication. By primarily using JSON Web Tokens, or JWTs, paired with distributed caches, your session data seamlessly travels right alongside you. The system guarantees you stay perfectly logged in, regardless of which continent instantly processes your next click.
To genuinely handle those heavy data loads at breakneck speeds, these multi-region architectures also rely heavily on deep CDN integration. Content delivery networks perfectly complement your multi-region databases by aggressively caching heavy, static assets at edge locations right in the user's immediate backyard. So when you quickly load up Netflix or YouTube, you aren't actually pulling those massive video segments or high-res thumbnails from some distant origin server. You're pulling them directly from a localized edge server that's located maybe just a few miles from your house.
Okay, let's dive into something truly mind-bending: time itself. In distributed multi-region systems, absolute time is honestly a complete illusion. A server running in Tokyo and a server running in New York will inevitably have slight time drift, variable network delays, and heavily inconsistent timestamps. To meticulously solve this, engineers don't rely on standard wall clocks. Instead, they use logical clocks, network time protocol, and vector clocks. These brilliant protocols don't just ask, "What time is it?" They mathematically track the strict sequence of events to keep global data perfectly aligned and aggressively prevent any silent data corruption.
And keeping that pristine data safe inevitably leads us to intense disaster recovery planning. When teams are anxiously preparing for the absolute worst, like a literal earthquake completely wiping out a massive data center, they tightly define two critical survival metrics. First, RTO, or Recovery Time Objective, which strictly dictates exactly how fast the entire system must come back fully online. Then there's RPO, or Recovery Point Objective, which heavily answers a much scarier question: how much actual data loss is acceptable? Multi-region deployments are specifically engineered from the ground up to aggressively push both of those numbers incredibly close to absolute zero.
So how do you actually go about building all of this? Thankfully, you don't have to literally go out and lay underwater fiber optic cables yourself. Massive trillion-dollar cloud providers happily supply the raw foundation. You can aggressively leverage AWS regions, Google Cloud regions, or Azure's sweeping global infrastructure, and to tightly orchestrate your isolated applications across all these different global clouds, world-class engineers rely heavily on tools like Kubernetes. They actively utilize advanced cluster federation and dynamic service meshes to seamlessly automate massive global traffic management. But once you've successfully built this massive global machine, you absolutely need to be able to see deeply inside it. Enter global observability. Elite engineers use powerful tools like Prometheus, Grafana, Datadog, and the ELK stack to act as their ultimate high-tech command center. They're heavily monitoring regional latency heat maps in real time, precisely tracking database replication lag down to the absolute millisecond, and tightly configuring automated failover alerts. It's total, unprecedented visibility to meticulously ensure optimal system health is maintained across every single continent.
All right, let's quickly recap the massive, complex concepts we've just aggressively conquered. To fully guarantee global applications confidently survive massive regional failures, you absolutely need latency optimization to keep things incredibly fast, high availability to keep it stubbornly online, smart database replication for strict data accuracy, active deployments for infinite scale, bulletproof disaster recovery plans, and highly intelligent global load balancing to seamlessly direct all the chaos. Master these foundational pillars, and you truly master internet-scale architecture.
You've seen exactly how the biggest tech giants confidently do it. You've clearly seen the brutal, complex trade-offs between consistency and availability, and the specific, high-end tools that make the seemingly impossible happen. So, if you were sitting in a high-pressure system design interview right now, or actively architecting a rapidly growing startup meant to aggressively scale to millions of active users, how would you design an application for users across the entire world? Take these concepts, creatively apply them to your next build, and keep intensely exploring.